There's a lot to love about the Nikon Z6 and Z7 cameras. I've had both now for a few months and I'm generally loving the results I'm getting for both stills and video. However, no camera's perfect, and although Nikon has done a great job with addressing some of the camera's deficiencies already via 2 firmware updates, there's still a bunch more that could be done. So I'm going to detail what I think are the top 10 things Nikon could do to improve the Z6 and Z7 cameras via firmware updates over the coming months and years. So cue the bumper. Number 1, focus using the LCD screen. Just about every other mirrorless camera lets you pick up your camera, look to the viewfinder, and then use your thumb or your finger on the back of the LCD screen while you're viewing the image through the viewfinder to change your focus point. However, Nikon doesn't let you do this. This would be something that'd be very simple for them to add via a firmware update, and there's really no reason why they shouldn't. So I'm hoping that this comes in the near future. The Nikon Z6 and Z7 have great video features. I'm actually using the Z6 to record this video right now. Now, they've done a great job with log recording, allowing you to record log files externally to an HDMI recorder. But there's really no reason why they couldn't allow you to do this to an internal card like many other cameras like the X-T3 or the Sony A7 III allows you to do. So this is my second request. I'd love for Nikon to be able to make it so you can record log files internally. The cards are plenty fast enough. There shouldn't be anything preventing this from happening except Nikon's will to do it. This next one's a small feature, but it's something I used a lot on the Nikon DSLRs I've owned over the years. So when you're composing your shot and you're using the joystick to move your focus point around, sometimes you want to get quickly back to the center of the screen. On previous Nikon DSLRs, you could push in on the focus joystick quickly, or double tap if you will, and it would recenter the focus point. This doesn't work on the Z6 or Z7. I'm really hoping Nikon adds this at some point in the future. Here's another video related request. When shooting video at 24p, generally you would like your shutter speed to be reciprocal of the frame rate. So you'd either be shooting at 1/24th of a second, or 1/48th of a second, or 1/96th of a second, and so on. However, the Nikon Z cameras will not let you do this. You can shoot in 1/30th of a second. You can shoot all the way down to 1/25th of a second, but you can't shoot at 1/24th of a second, or even 1/48th of a second, or 1/96th of a second. So this is something that I really hope Nikon would address, because it would make it just be better for shooting video. The last firmware update that Nikon offered added IAF to stills mode. However, Sony, Fuji, Canon have all added IAF to video mode. Nikon needs to stay competitive here. They're doing a great job with their video features, but IAF is something that everybody's looking to have, and it really makes things so much easier to work with when you're shooting video. So this next request is to add IAF to video mode for both the Z6 and Z7. Okay, this request is minor, but it really still bugs me, so I'm hoping Nikon addresses it. Right now, if you want a framing guideline on your display, Nikon only offers a 4x4 grid. And when you're shooting in photography, in video, or stills, generally you compose using the rule of thirds. And having a 4x4 grid is not really helpful in trying to use the rule of thirds to compose your shot. So I'd love for Nikon to add an option to their framing guidelines to have a 3x3 grid along with their 4x4 grid. And if they do add this, it'd be great if they made the 3x3 grid the default, because that's the one most people are going to want to use anyway. Here's one I think would be really welcome for people who are using the Z cameras in professional settings. So right now on the Z cameras, you can assign different items to the front function buttons here. And you can assign this to do a number of different things. However, one thing you can't do is assign this to switch between electronic and manual shutter. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, if you're shooting in a wedding, or if you're shooting someplace where you're told that you need to use silent shooting, being able to switch between the two modes quickly would definitely come in handy. So I'm hoping that some point in the future Nikon would add the ability to use these front function buttons to switch between shutter types of electronic and mechanical. Here's another one that's kind of a little out there, but if you're ever using the Z6 or Z7 to record videos like I'm doing, and you want to document the actual menus being recorded via an external recorder, this one would come in handy. So right now, if you're using the Z6 and Z7 with an external recorder and you want to record the menus, you can't do it. Just about every other camera allows you to do it. I'm not sure why Nikon has locked this down. There's really nothing that should be preventing them from doing this. It should be something they could add via a firmware upgrade, and being able to record the menus to an external recorder would be a huge help for people who are using external recorders and making YouTube videos or any other documentary type of video to be able to do. So let's hope that they add that feature in the future. Here's another small one, but it's something that really just bugs me about it. With the Z6 and Z7, you can create folders to save your images in, and you can give those folders a name. However, those names can only be 5 characters, and you cannot have less than 5 characters. If you are saving a name that has less than 5 characters, it will append those empty characters with underscores. It's really kind of silly that they do this. They should just let you have however many characters up to 5 to record those folder names. Okay, this next one is rumored to be coming, but I'm still going to mention it anyway because it's very important. So if you're using a Z6 or Z7 camera, you're using currently an XQD card for your recording media. And if you have one of these cameras and you have one of these cards, you know that they are expensive. Now, they're generally worth the money you pay for them because they're faster than SD cards, and they're reported to be extremely rugged and better at read-writes than SD cards are, although that will have to remain to be seen over the next few months and years when they're out in the field. But generally, they are much, much faster than SD cards. However, there's a new format coming out called CF Express, and these CF Express cards are pin-for-pin compatible with XQD cards, and they're generally faster than XQD cards. So when these cards come out, and the first ones have just now hit the market, the rumor is that you will be able to use these in the Nikon Z cameras. However, a firmware update will be required to make that happen. This is rumored to be coming in November after the cards have been out for a few weeks or a month or so that they can test these cards with the camera to make sure that the firmware update works. But once that happens, you'll have a better and bigger option for your recording media than just XQD cards. And that is a good thing for all Nikon Z users. So those are the things that I would love to see Nikon improve in the Z6 and Z7 in the coming months via firmware updates. Is there something I forgot? Is there something that you'd really like for them to improve in these cameras? Please let me know down below in the comments, and as always, click the like button if you thought this video was worth the time, and please click the subscribe button if you'd like to get notifications when new videos go live in the future. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.